Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're going to get started, get this party. Don Trinks has a lot of places to go tonight, and we want to make sure we recognize him properly before he steps out the door. All right, so I want to thank you for joining us this evening. Wow, that's pretty loud. I'm getting blown away. I can bring you down. Just a little bit. All right, thank you. So we're going to, we have a pretty full schedule. We're going to jump right in. We're going to have our annual meeting after we, wow, that's really low. Perfect, thank you. Can you hear me still? All right. It's not my voice cutting out, so. A cup of tea would do it, sir. All right. So we're restarting our annual tradition, our dinner for the chamber. Thank you all for coming. Again, we have a lot we're going to do. We're going to be breaking it up into two parts. There are some things we're going to do before dinner, and we're going to have some things after dinner. So we're going to breaking it up. But before we do that, we're going to ask everyone to stand. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone ready? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. Thank you. And at this point, I'm going to ask our senior minister from First Church in Windsor, Pastor Nicole Grant-Yonkman, to come up and do an invocation.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. You might think it's a little strange for pastors and churches to be part of the chamber, but we're also part of the community, and so we want to support the community through this kind of community gathering, and so I'm happy to be here and happy to be asked. Please join me in whatever religion you prescribe to, or no religion at all, but I call upon the Holy One and say this: none of us lives for or because of ourselves. We all live as part of a community. Help us to work together to build communities that sustain and enhance life. Awaken in us an awareness of how best to raise up the hopes and dreams of all of our members. Make our communities places where we all can live fully and fruitfully. May those of us who have been selected as leaders within our communities remain open to God's wisdom. In the discussions that take place this day, open our hearts and minds to sense the wisdom God has to share. O great Spirit, we live and move and have our being in you and in the world, and you have created and are created. In all that we say and do, keep us aware of the need to ask how this affects the world around us. Keep us from forgetting that your creative energy is alive and active in the world today, bringing life and hope that flies in the face of despair and destruction. In this time of discussion about the realities of today and the possibilities for tomorrow, help us all to be people of hope. Open us to the promise that all will be well, all will be well. All matter of things will be well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Nicole's a little shorter than I am. All right. Right in our face. All right, we're going to jump right in, and before I start the procedures, I'd like to recognize some special guests. So if I call your name, please stand. If I don't call your name, that doesn't mean we don't appreciate you being here. So before we start, State Representative Jane Garibay. Thank you, Jane. is our town manager. Did Pete Souza make it tonight? There he is. Thank you. Economic Development Director, Patrick McMahon. First Town Downtown President, Scott Hoffman. First Town Downtown Executive Director, Ken Fredette. And because tonight we have a lot of special members, past board presidents, right? When we call your name. Sharon Seelig Bennett, where are you? Thank you. Paula Pierce. Thank you. Sarah Gilligan. Shannon Rabbit. All right, did I forget any past presidents? Yes? No? All right, because sometimes they sneak in under the radar. We don't see them. So before I do that, I want to recognize our current board members for the Chamber of Commerce. When I call your name, please stand. Christina Morales is not with us tonight, but she's our secretary. She's the district coordinator for the Family Engagement and Community Partnerships for the Windsor Public Schools. Give her a round. She's been very helpful. I want to recognize board member Camille Gardner. Vice President Therese Newman. Zachary Mahado, or Malo, thank you. Did Robin Sharp make it in? Did anyone see Robin?
She couldn't make it today. I'm her much less attractive.
Okay, you said it, I didn't. But Robin Sharp is the CEO of Easter Seals Capital Region in Eastern Connecticut, and she couldn't make it with us, so thank you for showing up in her stead. And what's your name, sir?
My parents told me I was Daniel.
All right, nice to meet you, Daniel. I also want to recognize Douglas Shipman, Executive Director of the Windsor Historical Society. Thank you, Doug. And we do have an honorary board member, Bill Gombert. He's not with us tonight, but he's been part of the chamber for many years, and we want to thank him for his contributions going forward. Thank you. So a couple more reminders. I want to thank the Hartford Windsor Marriott for hosting us and giving us this great room. They've been a great member. They've been very supportive. Thank you, Marriott, for helping. Look at, we have a great dinner tonight. A couple sponsors I just want to make notice, and you'll see their signs. Windsor Federal has been a sponsor for many years, and we appreciate that. Luke, where are you? Luke, thank you for your sponsorship. Riverfront Recapture. Who's representing Riverfront? There you are, way in the back. Thank you. So again, we have a lot of members in our community here. We're going to start the awards. Before we do that, I'd like to introduce a special guest. We're very happy to have our new executive director of the chamber, Andrew Surprise. Andrew.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you for all attending today. I was hoping that we'd have even a more full room, but I guess next year is my goal to have 100 people there. So I appreciate you all coming out tonight. I just wanted to give a few opening remarks. So I started this job in mid-May, so I've been on the job about 4.5 months now. I have to say, I've been very, very welcomed here. I came from another chamber in Massachusetts that was 15 towns and 400 square miles. So it's very nice to be in one community. One of the reasons I took this job is my fiance and I recently moved to Enfield, and we have a 13-month-old son, and I wanted to be home closer to him, and I also wanted to be in a chamber that was much more like when I served as a city councilor for my adopted hometown, Westfield, Massachusetts. And let me tell you, it's very much being like a city councilor, except I don't have to run for re-election every 2 years. So I will tell you a little anecdote. So my second day on the job, Patrick McMahon here kidnapped me for, I think, 5 hours and took me on a tour of the town. So I got to see almost everything right away. Anybody that I've reached out to has been more than willing to help in any way that I've asked, and I really appreciate that. I know this chamber's still recovering from COVID. I've brought back one chamber from COVID. I know I can do it again with your assistance and your help and support. But I do want to say that I appreciate the trust the board has placed in me, and I hope that you have not misplaced it. But I promise you I will do my best at this job, and if you have any questions for me after this event or at any other time, feel free to reach out to me. I'm in my office on Thursdays because Phyllis, our office manager, works at Win TV as well on Thursdays, so I have to be there all day, so I'm always there on Thursdays. If you can't find me, just come to the chamber between 9 and 3 on Thursdays. I'll be there. With that, I want to bring Steve back up. We're going to, what's the next item on the agenda, Steve?
The awards.
The awards.
This is the fun part of the evening where we get to recognize our some special people who've made a difference in the community over time. This is something that, it's funny how fortuitous timing happens. So I'm going to ask Jane Garibay and Jim Burke to come up. Jim, are you here? You're here because I saw you. Come on up. Is this ready to go? All right. So Jim, you're going to be the banner tonight. That means you're going to be passing the award, and Jane, you're going to be introducing the awardee. So come on up.
I'm going to miss that, if you all heard it. At every event, he says, stand up. So it's an honor to introduce our citizen of the Chamber Citizen of the Year, Donald Trinks. It's also a very hard thing as we've worked very closely. He gave me a long list and he said, my resume is pretty long because I want to know his achievements. It took me hours to cut it down to just a couple of pages, which is not true, but I joke with him. It was very good. He's a lifelong Windsor resident. He graduated Windsor High School way before I did, and was first selected to serve as a council member in 1995, and served as a council member for 6 years before becoming mayor. Before he being elected to the town council, he served as a citizen volunteer on the town's council and commission on aging and persons with disabilities, as well as auxiliary police officer with the Windsor Fire Police Department. Again, he graduated from Windsor High School in 1979, and then he earned a bachelor's in sociology and criminal justice at the University of Hartford. He's been a board member of the Capital Area Substance and Abuse Council and has won awards for his participation on that council, the Capital Region Council of Governments Policy Board, the Community Advisory Board of Bradley International Airport, Riverfront Recapture, and was chairperson of Crowd Housing Committee, among a few of the achievements that he's had over the years. He was also active in the Windsor JCs and led a planning of the annual community-wide Shad Derby events for many years. He worked on and received recognition awards from the Chamber of Commerce in 1992, 93, and 95, so this was well overdue for all your work. As a longtime owner of Bart's and renowned local eatery, he openly greeted town residents, and everyone knew where to find him, which isn't always easy when you're the mayor of a town, right? He always answered everyone's questions and concerns as he stood at the counter and the grill. He supported many community fundraisers, never charging the organizations for a lot of what he donated and allowed to happen at Bart's. He does fundraising events for students all the time. You'd go by and get your car washed there. Pasta dinners and maintain long-standing community tradition of Wednesday evening car shows. Right, Ray? He's been committed to listening to all sides of the issues and building consensus among council members, which is kind of a lost art right now. So, and he continued and still continues to build that. He strived to put community first, above partisan politics. His staunch support of the community and civic participation, he promoted volunteerism, fostered Windsor's sense of community, and supported residents through emotionally charged events such as the 9/11 with the loss of an on-duty firefighter, community vigils, and protests, along with countless ceremonies honoring our military veterans. He has led the council through preparation of 23 annual operating budgets. You're not going to miss that. Numerous capital projects such as a new police station, an animal shelter that was supposed to cost close to $1 million, and he personally worked on that, and it came in under $400,000, always watching the pennies of our taxpayers. He renovated fire and emergency medical services facility, renovated our senior center, expanded public library, multiple athletic fields, and the closure of the town's sanitary landfill. And Don will always tell you, it wasn't just him, he's modest, that he had a team, including economic development, the town manager, and many, but it takes a leader to lead that charge. And for that, we will always be grateful. He's a true believer in public service. I can't wait to see what he's going to do in his retirement years. Besides, we're having, is it next week, our pickleball contest?
Pickleball challenge is on.
If anyone wants to be our ball people behind, let us know. He supported town staff and their dedicated efforts to deliver quality service to town residents and businesses. He worked with town staff and helped court both small and large businesses, including redevelopment efforts in town center, the Wilson neighborhood. These efforts have led Windsor to be a regional employment center for a diverse range of businesses. As Windsor's longest-serving mayor, 22 years, and I think it's the longest in the state, and a commitment to quality public service while always putting community ahead, again, of politics and what I call the noise. And for that, the Chamber recognizes him and applauds his long-standing commitment and dedication to making Windsor a welcoming community for all. With that, can we please give Mayor Trinks a hand of applause?
Please stand down, except you guys. So in case you're wondering who those hooligans are against the wall, they are my family. One way or the other, except for Steve and Andrew. And you know, with doing all of the renovations over the last 22 years, my shoulder is really killing me. So, but absolutely could not do it without a team. And I have loved every person that I've had the honor of serving with. Republican, Democrat, did not mean a thing to me. They got elected, they were elected to serve, and they were going to be respected for that. And that's really one of the few messages I have, other than some of the candidates that are running have made me promise I'm not coming to council meetings and say, well, when I was here, I did it this way. So I won't be doing that. But it's everybody here has a vested interest in Windsor, obviously, and you guys need to know, and I am not BSing in any way, shape, or form, we have the best group of people who get a paycheck signed by the town of Windsor. In every respect, I will put them up against any town in the state or beyond, from filing to plowing to mowing to insurance work. I mean, there's not a lot of jobs with glamour, but the staff of the town of Windsor is the best that's out there. And that's what's made it easy, and that's what's made it fun, because my mentor was the late, great Brian Griffin. And Brian told me, you get out when it stops being fun. And you know what? It's still fun. But in October, there's going to be a new title of Grandpa coming into my life. So don't even bother calling me. But seriously, this is my support staff that I went to for all of these years. And without them, I would have never made it. Without my bride, who was actually, no, she used to start the car so I'd leave. So maybe it wasn't so hard for her. But, you know, you think about it, and I mean, people have said, you know, wow, 28 years, because it's 28 years of service. It's 22 as mayor and 6 on the town council. But, you know, we've got firemen that have been serving for 50 and 55 years. So while I am appreciative of the attention I've gotten, we are blessed in this town with volunteers that go above and beyond every day. And to have volunteer fire company, I think Ken is 55 years, right? Ken Smith, who I had the honor of serving on the council with, 55 years on the fire department. So you all are involved in volunteering, and it is so appreciated. Yeah, you're.
I appreciate it.
Aw. Because we would think of the town without it. And we had the honor of having the volunteer brunch not too long ago. And there was like 400 people. And I think, my gosh, what would we not have as a community without those 400 people? And it's from everywhere across the gambit. And it was amazing to see. So I'm humbled by this. I'm a little, you know, I think it's much ado about nothing, because there's so many people out there that do so much more. And I'm also honored to be on the same headline as Mr. Greenberg here, who we shared many a coffee at Bart's, and I was always impressed at a guy who's the time from vision to fruition is so short with him. So be careful. If you think you need a new car, there might be one in your driveway tomorrow morning. So, members of the chamber, again, humbled and grateful for this. I've loved every minute of what I've done. I've had a blessed life. I grew up in town. Any educators here? Okay, good. Yeah, so I can say I graduated Windsor High. Class of 76, 7, 8, and 9. And let me tell you, when you graduate 184th and you're mayor 30 years later, it's really cool. So all, thank you so very much. I look forward to it. Listen, we're not even married, and I take orders from her. All right.
Don,
I know.
hold the plaque.
Oh, sorry. I got carried away.
Come on, you're mayor. You should know.
Oh, hi. It's one of my hooligans up there.
It's on Facebook, right?
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Andrew. Thank you so much.
You got me for
All right. Thank you, Jane and Don. I know you don't think it's warranted, but as a member of the business community in Windsor, you did set the tone for many years, and we can't forget that with all your other accomplishments. Moving forward, we're going to give out the Parker Award, given to the chamber member who's made special effort to maintain a high standard of beautification on their property. And this year's recipient is Mark Greenberg of Mark Greenberg Real Estate. And Mark, to do that, I'm going to bring up Shannon Rabbit to make the presentation, and past president of the chamber. Welcome, Shannon.
Good evening. So as Steve stated, I have the pleasure of presenting the Frank Parker Beautification Award. And you'll quickly understand why Mr. Greenberg was chosen for this award when you drive down Day Hill Road. His contributions can be seen in the most recently Dudleytown Brewing Company and the highly anticipated Dome. I very recently got the opportunity to get to know Mr. Greenberg. He is a Connecticut native and a soccer dad of 5. Mr. Greenberg turned a real estate hobby, which started, I believe, with a small strip mall in Litchfield, into a real estate obsession. Then he combined his enthusiasm for sports and really started chasing projects. Ask him one question about what he does, and you can tell he absolutely loves it. He doesn't talk about the monetary rewards, but focuses on the use of the space. Seeing kids enjoying playing sports is the reward that he is looking for. Please join me in honoring Mr. Greenberg with the Frank Parker Beautification Award.
I wouldn't take it out.
I would take it out. Okay. Beautiful.
Looks good, name spelled correctly?
It is.
Hopefully, mostly. Thank
With an
you.
E, not a U. Good. Good. Thank you.
All right. Oh, Shannon, don't forget your notes. These your notes? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Shannon, for that. Mark's going to be speaking after dinner. We're going to be having dinner in a few minutes, and before we do that, I do want to take a moment for a special recognition before we move into our volunteer recognition. This is I'd hate to say a pandemic special, but many of us put a lot of effort over the last few years, overcoming, improvising, and adapting. And this is a special chamber award recognition for Phyllis Stargardter. Phyllis, come on up. So we're calling this the chamber. Phyllis, you have to come up to get your award. Come on. Come on. We're calling this the Chamber Champion because during the pandemic, if there was one person holding down the fort, it was definitely Phyllis. And we wanted to give her the winning lottery ticket, from a few months ago, but somebody else won. So we do have a little recognition, a little plaque for you, and we do have a gift certificate for Tunxus Grill. So you can go out and at least have dinner on us. But this is really a small token of appreciation for everything you did. But I just want everyone to know Phyllis went above and beyond. So thank you, Phyllis. Boy, girl, boy, girl.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a bag for that, too.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say I couldn't do half the job that I do without Phyllis. So.
Thank you, Phyllis. You know, Don talked a lot about teams and working together in collaboration, and Windsor really does set an example, and we'll talk more about that going forward. But I do want to take a few minutes while they get dinner ready. We'll be eating at about 1:15. But I do want to recognize our outgoing board, our board members, our volunteers, and people who've helped us over the last year. To start us off, Mary Welnick of Webster Bank. She's not with us, but I'd like to give her a round of applause for her service and everything she's done over the last couple. She's been on the board for I think 4 or 5 years. She couldn't be with us tonight. Lynette Mendoza Vila, attorney at law, was a member last year. She had to step down. I want to give her a round of applause for her volunteer work. Now, this is an interesting, we call it volunteer recognition, but sometimes volunteers are ongoing. They don't stop. So I'm going to recognize a few people who, even though they may have stepped down or are alternates or reserved, they're always still there when you need them. So when I call your name, please stand up. Mary Lynn Kenny. Sarah Gilligan. And Paula Pierce. You know, it's funny, Don didn't say this, but he alluded to it. When you volunteer and sign up, sometimes it's a lifetime engagement. And it is hard, because it's hard to say no to your friends, your family, your colleagues, your coworkers, and your community. And these people espouse those values and share that. Also, I want to recognize there are a number of people, and last year, post-pandemic, was a very odd year for many of us. We were going through a lot of change, a lot of turnover and turmoil. We were trying to put together events basically at the last moment with the skin of our teeth, but there were a number of people who were able to step up and volunteer. Not all of them are with us, but I just want to recognize helping out with our auction, Linda Lee Boucher, Jennifer Phelps, Kate Ferris Morell, Deb Malcolm, Camille Gardner, you stepped up a lot last year, Karen Bell, Cindy Warner, and Sean Matthews. So I'd like to give them a round of applause as well. And to wrap this up before dinner, this can't be mentioned enough, there are organizations in the community that help out the Chamber and the community on an ongoing basis. Once again, Windsor Federal, thank you again for your support. Win TV in the back, tirelessly throughout the year. Seldom seen, never heard, but they're always there taking photos. And also the Windsor Journal, once again, helping communicate what's happening in the community. So at this point, I want to thank everybody for the moment. We're going to take a break and have dinner, and then we're going to continue the presentation.